UCMC. Now we'll be talking about fuel and energy complex of Ukraine. Our speakers are Ivan Grygoruk, Plenipotentiary representative in Ukraine Center for Economic Environmental Partnership, Valentyn Shlikhta, deputy head of the State Agency for Energy Efficiency and Energy Saving, Oleksandr Borodkin, partner of the law firm Vasil Kisil Partners, Moderator is Rikshpun, Traficon partner in Ukraine, and Semen Potashnyk will join us from the Ministry of Energy and Coal Industry in Ukraine. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for introduction. We are starting our press briefing. I would like to clarify what the topic would be. The topic which is stated is current situation and future perspectives for fuel and energy complex of Ukraine. In fact, I would like to focus our attention on investment potential of the energy market of Ukraine and on attracting energy investments for energy reform in Ukraine. As part of that, I would like to give the floor to Valentyn Shlikhta, Deputy Head of the State Agency for Energy Efficiency and Energy Saving of Ukraine. He will tell us about investment projects and about the prospects of development of the state agency. Thank you so much for this opportunity to make this presentation. I will try to describe the key priorities and strategies for energy efficiency and about the development of renewables. The energy efficiency and renewables are the priorities in the government of Ukraine. What are the key factors that help the development? I will start from renewable energy in Ukraine. First of all, this is the key factor of ensuring energy security of Ukraine. Secondly, Ukraine has a big potential of renewable sources of energy. Also, we have a big problem with the dependence on imported sources. These are our international commitments, the commitments as to entering the energy community. Ukraine signed the protocol on joining the energy community, and also this is part of our movement to European Union. And also this is the issue of improving environmental situation and preventing negative impact on the climate change. As to our potential, in Ukraine there were many research done as to the examining potential. We assess the natural potential, economic potential. The total potential of Ukraine is 98, almost 100 million tons of conventional fuel. We are now moving to European standards, that is 68 million tons of oil equivalent. The key components of our resources are wind energy, solar energy, small hydro energy, bioenergy, geothermal, and energy of environment. This potential is subdivided evenly along the whole territory of Ukraine, but each region has its own specific features. As you can see, the biggest potential of Ukraine is in bioenergy. At the same time, we have to assess the potential as to specific features of every region of Ukraine. Talking about bioenergy, two components are the energy potential of hard biomass and the energy potential of biogas. Again, the investment opportunities exist for that in different regions of Ukraine. I would like to concentrate on where is Ukraine attractive from the investment point of view. As to our commitments to energy community, in accordance to the decision of the Council of Ministers, Ukraine defines for Ukraine the objective is defined, which is 11% of renewable energy in total energy consumption. Here you see the distribution of the structure of energy balance in consumption of energy resources in Ukraine for 2013. Unfortunately, we have the data of energy balance for 2013 only, and also for 2020. That is the period of our commitments in relation to energy community. When we were talking about 11%, there were many discussions, and that was assessed for Ukraine as the objective which cannot be achieved. But at the same time, Ukraine has developed the national plan on renewable energy till 2020, which is the plan of implementing the terms of European directive. This plan was approved on the 1st of October 2014, which is a year ago, so we can assess what achievements we have. This plan is designed to develop the consumption of renewable energy in 3 segments. First is the system of heating and cooling, then the renewables in electric energy industry, and renewables in transportation. So we are planning to have 11% in consumption of electricity. These are the percentage of consumption, and 10% for transportation. Today, as I've mentioned already, we can make some. We can sum it up. Even though we don't have the energy balance for 2014, but we have already assessed, and we can say that today Ukraine is almost achieving the results that were planned. We can now talk about enhancing our ambitions as to introducing renewables in the development of energy sector of Ukraine. At the same time, please pay attention that despite all the difficulties, the investments do come to Ukraine, and we are talking about renewables in electricity sector. According to the plan, we need to double our capacities in renewable energy in general. Here you see all these indicators split between different sources of energy, and you see what is the dynamic which we basically show here. The dynamic is quite significant, even though, as I informed, we can increase or enhance the ambitiousness of the objectives, and the state agency of energy efficiency is working on that. As to heating and cooling, our task is to double the capacities of generation compared to what we generate today. As to transportation, I would like to talk about renewables and transportation sector. The situation is more complicated here. That's the only thing where we lag behind our objectives, and that is caused because the regulations are not perfect. The state agency has set up a working group to improve the situation, but unfortunately not everything depends on us. It is very important for us to organize horizontal coordination, because there is a key problem with taxation of the development of biofuel in Ukraine, because now there's the scheme of double taxation, which basically stopped the development of biofuel in Ukraine. Those who produce biofuel, they have to call them components of motor fuel, engine fuel. So this is something that the government is paying a lot of attention to. You see the big dynamic of the development. And you see in the heating sector, in transportation, you see how we were developing. This slide shows the structure and the plans of the development of renewable energy. There's we see the biggest potential in wind energy, solar energy, bioenergy, and also we pay a lot of attention to the small hydro electricity. We have a big potential, and today, if we compare that with the 70s on the territory of Ukraine, and the capacities of small and micro hydro plants is smaller than in 1970. We have not just the natural potential, but we have the potential if we look at where we were in the past. It was a much higher level. This is the dynamic of the development of renewable energy in Ukraine. Today, the total installed capacity in the renewable energy facilities is 1,500 megawatt. And you see the distribution of the capacities, which is here. Also, I would like you to pay attention at the development of the renewables from the point of view of replacement of natural gas. You know that Ukraine has many problems with imported natural gas, and now if the bioenergy is developed in Ukraine, then according to our assessment for 2014, we managed to replace 2.85 BCM of gas per year. What are the key solutions which allow to develop renewable energy and attract investments into that? First of all, that is the law of Ukraine 2010, and that is on competitive conditions of development of renewable energy in Ukraine. what does it give for economy and for investors. At the legislative level, the green tariff is set. The green tariff is now tied up to hard currency. It will not depend on the exchange rate of the national currency. And this law regulates the disbalance of the green tariff which were present in the previous regulatory basis. You know that there are the biggest tariffs which were related to solar energy and not enough tariffs for the development of bioenergy and other parts of alternative energy. Also, the requirement as to local component has been cancelled, and that was the biggest barrier for development of renewable energy in Ukraine. All these changes absolutely allow us to implement in Ukraine all the requirements of the European community. As to green tariffs, I would like to draw the attention of investors to that. The green tariffs in Ukraine today are now at the level of European tariffs. From the point of view of attracting investments, we are at quite a large stage of developing tariffs, and there are some the cost of certain things are lower than in Europe, so that means that at the legislative level the stability of setting the tariffs is regulated, is set. Sorry. What barriers do we see today for the development of renewable energy in Ukraine? First, that is not sufficient coordination between the stakeholders. The investors and international financial organizations very often ask the question, who should we talk to? Who's responsible for renewable energy? Because we have so many agencies which are working on renewable energy issues, and so the not sufficient coordination between all these agencies is a big problem which is to be removed. Also, the infrastructure is obsolete, and there are big losses in the electric sector, in thermal energy. The system of monitoring of the situation is not perfect enough, and we cannot get all the information. There are also some administrative barriers. Another important thing is that the credit resources are very costly in Ukraine. From the financial point of view, that is the biggest barrier to the development of renewable energy. The changes of policy in the sphere of energy development, and also lack of information as to advantages of renewable energy. As to removing the barriers, the slide shows the ways of how to implement it all. And what is important is also enhancing information interaction. What we do here is very important. We are enhancing interaction between all the stakeholders so that we jointly can execute and can implement the potential that I mentioned in the beginning of my presentation. As to digitizing the whole potential for investors, when we were developing the national plan of the development of renewable energy, these actions were assessed, this was assessed as 16 billion euros. We will create best conditions for investors so that the investments are protected. Thank you. Thank you. let's postpone questions and answers after all the presentations. I would like to give the floor to Semen Potashnyk, who is from the Ministry of Fuel and Energy of Ukraine and who's the hero of Ukraine. Thank you. First of all, I would like to apologize for being late, but I had some real business, but I am not late talking about the agenda. I am pleased. I was very much pleased listening to at least half of this presentation of Valentyn Shlikhta. I was getting prepared to the meeting, and I thought I will not give you a standard lecture. I will not explain what is wind energy, what is solar energy, because you know that, but I would like to share the experience. Talking about experience, I will start from the end. Now, we, and I mean the association Ukrgidroenergo, the association has the same name as the company that I was in charge of for many, many years. Based on that experience, I realized, I'm sorry if I say I all the time. I thought that we need to start from having very good understanding with the representatives of state bodies. And I'm just trying to say what was in the past. We met with Mr. Shlikhta, then we met with Mr. Savchuk, and we signed the memorandum, which was very fashionable. It doesn't. This is the memorandum between the association and state energy on energy efficiency and energy security. And what has been mentioned already, I will request Valentyn to give me his presentation, because we'll be using it, because these are very official materials which we could officially use. Unfortunately, our attempts to work on small hydro energy, they always find some important reason to put it aside. Now, for example, may I be very open? We came to conclusion that we need to wait till small. We understand that the small hydro energy is to be restored to the level that we had in the past. In the past, we had, some people said 3,000 or 2,000. Now I heard that 1,000 of small hydro power plants were operating in the 1970s. They don't need a lot of money to operate. And now I get the information of what was there and what is there when you are dealing with a lot of money. And I understand that where a lot of money is needed, that is something profitable. So small hydro power plants, they decided that we need to wait. The election campaign, which is taking place very actively now, this is also an obstacle, because now it's difficult to talk to anyone. But we need to talk to people. There are no official documents about decentralization, am I right? But this decentralization is being implemented. So basically, it's hard to say, but we need some push. I understand it, but the 2015 from the point of view, and again, thank you for supporting the idea, but this year will be lost, unfortunately. And I would like to mention some recent past that 1995, these were the times when our motherland has become independent. And then understanding, we were not talking about small hydro energy. No one believed that it would be ruined so quickly. Out of 1,000, 50 survived out of 1,000. And then when we started working on that, I was horrified. How could they have ruined that? And basically, we were building big units, and the bigger the better. 300 was also considered to be big. And it was not only here in Ukraine. That was basically the fashion for the whole Soviet Union. Volga, Caucasus, in the north, where there were large hydropower plants. Then the figures were big, the volumes were big, but small hydro energy was dying. So basically, when we created the association, it was 2002, we all got together, all those who worked with Ukregidroenergo, but the works were capital repairs. And then I told the colleagues that if you guys want to have work, you, your colleagues, then we need to get united and go to the market at that time. And so, and then we realized that we need to work on the small scale. And then we started to think we need to do something which could be done quickly, within 1.5 to 2 years. Then even a small power plant, which is now considered to be micro, and small now is considered to be up to 10 megawatt, and that requires $5-6 million. That is not, of course, hundreds of millions of dollars, but still. And then we decided that we need to restore the plant in Bielotserkovka. When you go to Kharkiv, have you seen the building sitting at Psol River? When you go to Kharkiv, on the left there is a beautiful white building. And I couldn't understand, what was it? We went there. It was a plant. They had 2 units there. It was 240 kilowatt, and we decided to restore this plant. We had to restore the dam and to replace the units which were dismantled there. We started working on that very actively, and then I said to Paton, we need your support and we will restore this plant, and I will invite you to the launch of commissioning of small hydro plant in Pseol. And he still asks me, when will you invite me there? But now even the building disappeared. There's now the dam which we managed to restore, it's there. You have, when we started working with the World Bank, there was nothing then. There was a group set up which had the rights, and there were specialists of the World Bank there and the specialists of our Ministry of Energy and Electrification. I was heading the group. In a year and a half we prepared all the design materials, and then we approved the project of reconstruction, submitted it to the World Bank in Washington, and it is even now considered to be one of the best in the world. And the hydroelectric energy sector in Ukraine is considered to be very modern in the world, very advanced. In our hydroelectric energy sector, we have an experience of mini, micro, small, large, big, and extra large power plants. What we lack is finance, and we do hope that, okay, Valentyn said correctly, we need to make this idea, we need to disseminate this idea. I cannot understand, I'm sorry, if in the United States about 90% of the resources of small rivers are used, we are now maybe using 10%, even less. I told you maximum. If in Norway they use about 95%, in Switzerland, and I saw it all with my own eyes, they have these power plants which are very small. It is all automated, and even citizens who live nearby, they basically just give the permit to put the power plant, but they get free electricity from these power plants. Along these rivers, there is a recreation zone and the water reservoirs. And this is the zone which in Austria, for example, is used to create artificial swimming pools. I will maybe answer your questions then, but I would like to say we, hydro energy specialists of the country, who do care about what happens with this sector, because hydroelectric sector is the basis of energy. Wind is wonderful, but what if there's no wind? The sun is a perfect thing, and if there's no sun, then we need the hydropower plant. At our hydro plant in Dnipro, we can put such a plant. We need organization, responsibility, and the assistance in starting construction. And we know how to do that. Thank you for attention. Now, Ivan Grygoruk, the representative of the Center of Economic and Environmental Partnership. Today, we decided to describe, think about creation in Ukraine of unique investment mechanism. We need so basically, in order to help the process of attracting investments, different organizations are now setting Ukrainian energy investment platform in accordance with the modern trends of international investment market. Ukrainian energy investment platform, with the use of newest methodologies and information technologies, will create interactive register of investment projects, as well as investors and other participants of the market of energy. And besides, also of energy efficiency, energy savings, and alternative energy. This instrument will become a great mechanism to ensure interaction between all the participants of the market. First of all, between state and private companies, and also initiators from both sides, and also potential investors and sources of financing. Besides, the administering of the project will be carried out by European company Traficon, which has quite big international consulting experience and is a leading specialist in this sphere. And I would like to say that Ukrainian energy investment platform will start working in the fourth quarter this year. Because Traficon company is administering that, I will give the floor to Naum Rikshpun.
Выключилось. Да, все есть.
The previous presenters were talking about investment potential. The figure was mentioned, 17 billion are needed to support the program of the development of renewable energy in Ukraine, which is a big amount of money. If we take into account some other energy projects, the projects on improving the thermal electricity structure and modernization of nuclear power plants, this figure will grow many times. This could be done only if external, domestic, state and private investments are attracted. International donor organizations understand this problem very well, and they have developed some programs on the financial support of the energy reform, the programs which will allow to provide guarantees to get loans from international commercial banks. We know very well that at present there are no cheap money for any investment projects in Ukraine, and for that we need the guarantees of international financial institutions. International investors who were afraid to provide financing to energy projects believe that the current potential of the market is higher than the risk, and they are ready to look at the investments into Ukrainian energy projects. At the same time, all potential investors mention low level of preparation of energy projects, and they say that the market of energy projects is not mature because of low pre-investment preparation of the projects and the lack of experience in interaction with the investors. And there are difficulties with identifying the projects which are ready for investment. There are money, but there are no projects. The projects which are there, they do not correspond to any international investment criteria. The access of the initiators of the project to international financial resources is also very much limited because many initiators of the projects have very little experience on attracting international investments. To resolve that problem, we created the mechanism which will help ensure efficient interaction between participants of the market. On the basis of modern technologies, we'll be selecting partners and ensuring interaction at all the stages of attracting investments. Also, energy investment platform will give possibility to other participants of the market to consultants, to others.
Платформы будет обеспечено профессиональное содействие.
Also, the professional assistance of owners of the projects will be ensured. The main
Вас від перекладачів дуже наполегливо.
Помедлили?
Так, помедлили.
Хорошо.
The biggest specific feature of this platform will be selection of projects in accordance to international criteria and pre-qualification of investors and other participants before they are put on the platform. One of the major functions of this platform is presenting the mechanism for investors to work with the state projects from different Ukrainian agencies. Also, I would like to mention that there will be there is a big program of training, seminars, roundtables, which will enhance the level of preparation of participants of the market and to work with international financial institutions. Also, with the support of professional managers on the basis of the platform, the mechanisms of collective investment for small private investors will be created. The platform includes main sectors of the energy: generation of electric energy, electric grids, transportation system, heat generation, cogeneration, generation and supply of biomass, energy efficiency, energy savings, who will be participants of the platform, all who are needed to efficiently implement the projects. There will be initiators and owners of the projects, which you can see the list of here. On the other side, there will be sources of financing, different sources of financing. And also, as we know, that different services will be needed. We will put on the platform the supplies of goods and services, different types of supplies of goods and services. Now I would like to mention how this will work. From the user point of view, the platform will be an internet platform where the users will be able to put information and look for what they are interested in. To get the project registered at the platform, the initiator will have to give all the information about the project and sign an agreement. The owners of the project will get full-fledged support in preparation of the project. Potential investors will have to give information about themselves. After they are registered at the platform, the owners of the project and investors will be able to identify the proposals. Participants of the platform will receive professional support at all the stages. Here's a scheme. I have already described it. Those who are interested, I will describe it in more detail to save time. The support of the project at the state level will allow to efficiently implement it. Organizers of the project will sign the memorandum on cooperation with the Ministry of Energy and State Agency of Ukraine. These state agencies will provide support to the project. They will provide consultative support to the project. They will help implement the platform in Ukraine. They will help organize efficient interaction between the state entities and the platform. And this will help to they will help organize effective interaction between the state agencies and the platform to select and provide financing to socially important energy projects in Ukraine. To assist in work with the international financial institutions to attract funds. Also, I would like to say that now the organizers of the platform are providing advice. I will give the floor to Ivan, Who will say a few words about the benefits from implementing the platform? The benefits. Efficient interaction and transparency at all the stages of the process. There is an opinion that the energy market is very closed, and the user or any other participant who directly does not participate in the energy market has no access to the information online. The procedure of selecting the projects and potential investors will enhance the quality of the projects. The investment package will be prepared according to unified rules. Uniting private and state projects in different sectors, and international financial institutions and private investors on the other side. The platform will provide the mechanism of interaction for the participants in the market. All will talk the same language, and we will save time for preparation of the investment project. Besides, the owners of the projects will get an access to qualified investors. Who understand this business, in the business in different sectors. Also, it will help to create the mechanism of collective investment for small private investors. The citizens of Ukraine will be able to participate in energy reform. The platform will help small investors for who this business is not clear. They will diversify their risks, investment risks. Professional investment services will be provided. They will help the owners to prepare the investment projects. They will help to enhance the quality of the project. They will also, this will help all the participants of the investment process. We were saying that we will be training the personnel, the initiators of the project in general. The support of the ministry and state agency will help promote projects at the state and international level, and will provide legislative, regulatory, and administrative support, and also will guarantee maximum openness of the process of initiation and the financing and implementation of the projects.
Организаторов.
As to organizers of the project, The project is implemented by the Center of Economic and Environmental Partnership, which was founded in the US. They provided funding for different types of projects in the US and outside of the US. The main partners So these are large international donors, Sloan Foundation and Rockefeller Brothers Foundation, World Bank, IFC and others are also involved. The consulting company Traficon will say a few words about themselves. It was founded in 2006 and it's one of the leading experts in the field of organizing, financing the energy sector projects, and it works in Ukraine, has been working in Ukraine for 4 years via official representative office. The platform will start operating in October 2015. Now we are completing our work on creating the our work now. We would like to give the floor to Oleksandr Borodkin. I will try to be quick. What are the reasons to invest to Ukraine? How investors could do that? First of all, the legislation of Ukraine and the sphere of investment is there, and it's well developed. There are things which are better described. There are more practices with certain things. For example, within 1 day, you can set up a company in Ukraine. In a day or 2 days, you can bring investments here. If it is borrowed money, then you need a week or 2 weeks. And having such a starting platform in Ukraine, you can invest into electricity facility. Of course, there are some procedures related to land construction. It's more complicated there. It requires more careful approach. What I would like to mention now, what could be the forms of cooperation between private business and the state, because energy sector is where most assets and rights are owned by the public sector. Here we have different approaches or agreements where the state can cooperate with private business. First of all, that is joint activity agreement, concession, PSA, and others. What is, for example, the public-private partnership, or JAA? On JAA, JAA is regulated by the civil code. That is the situation where the state company has a license for production or special permit or some license, and the decision is made not to give it to private investor. The private investor may sign an agreement with the state company and sign a joint activity agreement. That is one of the early possibilities. Very simple instrument. More difficult instrument is concession. That is provision of right to build or operate certain facility with the aim of satisfying public needs for certain time and fee, and subject to accepting entrepreneurial risk and property responsibility. The specific laws are road concessions, concessions on municipal heat supply, water supply and water drainage facilities, concessions of state fuel and energy facilities. And the third instrument is PSA. Under product sharing agreement, the state assigns search, exploration, and extraction of mineral resources on certain subsoil parcel and performance of associated works to the investor, and the investor undertakes to perform relevant works at its cost and risk with further compensation of expenses and obtaining remuneration as part of profit products. That is production sharing agreement. Here we are talking about two types of relations. One is PPP and the production sharing agreement. PPP, that is the form of partnership which is so much developed in the West. All foreign investors know what PPP is. We passed the law on PPP on late 2010, and this law was just to state that we have PPP, but basically that PPP includes JAA and concessions. By PPP we now mean any form of cooperation between state and private investor. What did the investor receive when the law was passed? It clarifies how the project should be launched. It specifies what should be done before the launch of the project. For the state body, this is the detention factor, so that the concessions are not given to anyone. It also provides some guarantees for investors. The public partner should provide land to the private partner. Also, the agreements can have some compensations for regulated prices and tariffs. Also, it provides for change of law risks other than defense, national security, public order, and so on. The legislation should be applied which is effective at the moment of executing the agreement. Also, there is a norm that all the damages are compensated to the investor. So that is all about PPP, and that is why it's not so widely used. There are not so many projects which operate according to PPP. There are no guarantees in JAA, and in concessions there are similar norms which protect the investor. The concessionaire is protected just as the owner of the assets. They say that ownership to proceeds from leased assets, improvements and new assets usually belong to the grantor, compensation of expenses in excess of actual proceeds. There are different types of guarantees provided. It's interesting to see the guarantees which are included into the PSA. So protection of investments, according to PSA. This happened probably because there were more projects on PSA, and the investors were insisting on introducing more and more protection for themselves. The state, according to, has to provide all the approvals and special permits and licenses. Quite strong change of law guarantees, save for defense and national security, public order, and environmental regulations. Investor may assign its right under the PSA. Investor and its contractors are released of licensing and quotation regulations at import and export of equipment and other assets. No licensing or quotation at export of extracted products. State may waive its immunity against arbitration and court decisions. Also, there are many more benefits and guarantees provided to the investor. Especially it is important now when the National Bank prohibited many of the transactions related to currency exchange, but the PSA says that all that does not concern the investors who works according to PSA. That is probably the best drafted law. But again, the scope of use is limited only to production of oil, gas, and other mineral resources. I have several more slides, but I can finish here. On privatization, one of the forms where foreign investor could participate in energy projects of Ukraine. If you look at the program of privatization now, there are many energy objects there, so we can look at that as well, but you need to pay attention to who can or cannot participate in Ukrainian privatization. This procedure will become more stricter. All the offshores will be removed from there, all entities related to the country aggressor, all those who have no transparent structure of ownership, you need to pay attention to that. And naturally, all those who fall under special sanctions. But otherwise, all good foreign investors with the money, with transparent ownership, will be able to come to Ukraine to privatize objects.
У нас есть немного времени.
Now we have some time for Q&A session. For 20 years we've been in the market, involved in innovation projects, several. I have a question to Traficon company. You presented this business platform which will connect investor and initiators of the project, and state organizations. The loan PPP does not work in Ukraine, but the question is, can you say, because we work, there is such a platform, Enterprise Europe, it's narrowed just for new technologies and innovation projects. We are active participants of that, and there are many problems there. So my question is, there is an investor, there is an initiator of the project, and we have many problems with guarantees to the investor on return of the investment. The investor doesn't come because they don't have any guarantees, they don't get any guarantees from the state, from the legislation. There's a big group of people who came to listen to you. What do you think about how this project could be launched? A very good question. This is one of the key questions for the success. We know very well that international crediting organizations, very few of them provide loans to Ukraine without the guarantees from Ukrainian financial institutions. When we are talking about Ukrainian financial institutions, I'm talking about commercial aspect. When we are talking about Ukrainian financial institutions, only 3 of them are accepted as those that correspond to a certain rating to provide guarantees for international institutions. These are Ashadbank, Privatbank, and Ukreksim Bank. The guarantees of these banks are accepted by international crediting organizations, but there is a small problem. These banks are not willingly giving such guarantees, and they are not working much on project financing. Their guarantees are accepted, but they do not give these guarantees. They do not give them, and they give these guarantees at such rates that this becomes not profitable. There are ways how to address these issues, and it's about how this transaction is structured and how the collateral is structured. We work with the Shed Bank, with the Exim Bank on the issue of structuring the collateral, because they will not provide any guarantees without the collateral, but if the structure of collateral is better for the owner, then this issue could be addressed. We are working on that because that is very important to ensure international crediting. The state guarantees are not provided, so we are not talking about that. We have time for only 2 questions. Such guarantees which you mentioned, that is impossible. We worked on that. 14% is an Exim bank, but the question is, if the initiator of the project, which is implementing some project, if it has a contract with the foreign consumer that has a high export potential, then it is possible to get guarantees from some financial institutions, non-Ukrainian, at 3, 5, 6%. There are different structures of transactions. We are talking about export contract with foreign consumer, and it could be guaranteed by the international bank in the country of the consumer. If the consumer has assets to ensure, that is one of the ways. Another way is when the international investor participates in the transaction, the supply of the equipment, which can also ensure some indicators. That is the second way how this problem could be addressed. And also the guarantees provided by Ukrainian banks is the most difficult and the least efficient. It's also about concession and ESCA contract. That's all realistic. We've touched upon this issue of guarantees and so, but this issue of project financing, the issue of participation of foreign investor in implementation of the project as a co-partner on different terms, and that is the what Oleksandr mentioned. So everyone understands the guarantees. We're not talking about guarantees. Talking about guarantees, one more thing. It is an important thing. At the municipal and regional level, for all these projects in the sphere of energy efficiency, the municipal authorities sometimes provide the guarantees for IFIs that is working. NEFCO, IBRD provide loans on these terms. And again, I would like to emphasize that participation of the good international partner very often resolves the problem with guarantees. That is the best and the most efficient way. Also, foreign partner risks and the interest rate, the guarantees provided by the bank, they are high. In the projects where we participated with the state of Ukraine, the issue of guarantees was subdivided into several sub-issues. We were attracting several instruments of providing guarantees. Two of them you mentioned, export financing, and its mirror form is when the equipment is brought to Ukraine and the insurance agency insures this delivery in a different country. There's no guarantee, but at least the bank financing was insisting that the bank should have a direct agreement with the company. They want to get direct agreement with the grantor, and the state body, according to that, takes the responsibility to send the payments directly to the bank if something goes wrong. And also there were own funds of the investor that were attracted to the project. The more these funds are, the fewer risks are for financing bank. Thank you. We have time for one very brief question. Once you have no questions, we would like to thank you for the presentations. At 3:45.